transportation, possession, use, and distribution of certain scheduled substances. So if you unlawfully distribute or do any of those things, and feds will come after you, as 2 Chainz says. Very simple. You know this. Drug scheduling. Okay, so Schedule 1. High potential abuse. This is a very, I know there's a lot of words on that slide, the 1 Chainz list, but it's a very simple, very intuitive system. So, you know, as you go on down the scale or up the scale, however you want to say it, certain things increase and decrease. So, you know, Schedule 1 is the highest potential for abuse. Schedule 5 is the lowest potential for abuse, and it moves incrementally down. And you know, you don't need to know specifics about that, but that just should make sense. The biggest thing about Schedule 1 is there's no widely accepted medical use for these drugs. The example on the slide is opioid analgesics. Yeah? No. Schedule 2 still has a high potential for abuse, but they do have medical uses, so they are used and they are strictly regulated. And this includes hydrocodone, stimulants, Demerol, you name it. Those are all in Schedule 2. And then, you know, as it makes sense, it just keeps going down. You know, somewhat abuse prone, slightly abuse prone. Probably figure it out, not that abuse prone. And after the first one, they all have medical uses. Okay, MDMA Molly mechanism. If I'm not mentioning a mechanism for a drug, you don't need to know it. Okay, so there's she presented a lot of drugs, showed a lot of different neuron diagrams. If I'm not presenting it, it doesn't matter. So, MDMA Molly mechanism. You don't need to know what MDMA stands for. Don't ask, you don't need to know. So the primary mechanism of action, effect of MDMA would be increasing the amount of serotonin in the synaptic cleft. So remember we were just talking about dopamine, we're moving to serotonin, and it works in a very similar way. You can pump out more or you can remove less. Right? So we're just talking about serotonin. What MDMA does is both. It prevents reuptake and increases release.
What's behind the box?
Pretty sure it just says note. Yeah.
Note.
Note. Note that. It's a secondary mechanism. It doesn't just have a primary mechanism. It does other things. Increases the amount of dopamine and noradrenaline, norepinephrine. Those are the same thing. People see them 2 different ways. They're the same thing. Right. So this is hitting 3 different neurotransmitters. It's a lot. And ecstasy and MDMA have the same primary mechanism. MDMA is just a purer, slightly different form of ecstasy. So they both act on serotonin, they both act on noradrenaline, and they both act on dopamine, with the primary being serotonin. Yeah, this is just showing how cocaine works. Similar. I think Pete discussed it a little, so we're very familiar. This picture is taken right on the slide. Does anyone have any questions on how this works? Okay. Pete mentioned this a little bit, so I'm just going to be real brief. So, as seen by this picture, drug users have a lot of dopamine receptors, not necessarily dopamine as the neurotransmitter, but dopamine receptors, whereas cocaine abuser has a decreased amount of dopamine receptors. So, if you keep pounding the dopamine receptors and you keep making them take on more than they're used to, they're going to die out, or there's just going to be less of them. There's a complex mechanism behind that, but you don't really need to know it. Just prescription drug abuse summary. Here's a little number for you. Yearly, more than 20,000 people in the USA die due to prescription drug abuse. That's in one of the articles. So, how do we fight abuse? There's a few different things going on, a few different actions people are taking. I think this is mostly from the readings, so which you should do, but here's the main points outlined for you. So, the different ways abuse is being fought. So there's development, first, hydrocodone is the most widely prescribed painkiller. It's highly restricted, it's an opioid. Read more of that article. And then there's this new thing that they're developing, Targenique ER. It's a new opioid pain reliever that contains oxycodone and naloxone. And why is this special? Why does this matter? Well, naloxone blocks the euphoric effects of oxycodone that lead to addiction. All right, so wouldn't that be nice if we could get all the medical effects of oxycodone without any of the addictions, without any of those issues? So this compound, naloxone, is really cool. It's activated when the pills are crushed and snorted, which is how those pills are taken a lot of the time. Intended to deter, not prevent abuse. There's another article about the Chicago lawsuits. So the city of Chicago is suing 5 developers of painkillers, claiming they overpromoted the benefits of drugs while minimizing the risk. I mean, what else is new? People are hiding data, people are making fake drugs, so obviously people are going to do a little bit of false advertising. They targeted senior citizens and vets and claimed the drugs would improve the quality of life. I'm really just giving you a summary of this article. I would recommend going back and reading it. These drug companies also claim that these painkillers are probably not to be addictive, but like it's really hard to gauge that. They can't be held accountable. So. These lawsuits are not seeking to ban opioids because they do have some medical use, but they're trying to end deceptive marketing. Weight loss was the most recent, or one of the most recent. Yeah, I hated her PowerPoint theme for this one. It's so annoying. A little bit of biochemistry, very little, very little. So the insulin is the main controller of metabolism, and for all intents and purposes, insulin is just a signaling molecule in this case. So increased plasma concentrations of insulin occur in the absorptive state, right? Because insulin is going to help you move sugar and move energy into the cell. All right, so if you eat a lot, you have a lot of sugar floating around in your blood because you just absorbed it through your GI tract, you want your cells to be able to take this up and use this, right? So you need insulin to help the cell do that. So when you have low concentration of insulin, the cells have taken everything up. You don't really have that much sugar left in the blood because you ate a while ago. Then you're not really using insulin. So what is obesity? That's what the CDC defines it as. You should probably know those little factoids up there. It's not a perfect indicator. And why do we care? Because obesity has substantial health and medical implications. This little chart thing is in your PowerPoint. Okay. It looks like I'm with Wikipedia too. So, leptin. Leptin is another hormone. I copied most of this text from the slide. Really all you need to know. Leptin levels increase after eating, right? So, beginning of weight loss drugs. Yeah. Most of this text is copied right out of the PowerPoint. I'm just explaining it a little differently. With a few additions. Should you also go back to the slide before that? Good. Okay, so weight loss drugs. Initially, so like we're talking 1950s area, sympathomimetic drugs. If you tear that word apart, they mimic the effects of the sympathetic nervous system, and if we just think about that for a sec, the sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight response. When you activate your fight or flight response, you're not thinking about eating, right? So obviously, maybe they're onto something here. And these include phentermine, and they're Schedule 4 drugs, so you know all about that now. Antidepressants, which act on serotonin, and anti-seizure meds were also used. Just a little note, these all target your CNS, so upstairs, right there. So more recent, we're not targeting the brain, we're targeting fat absorption. So drugs such as orlistat interfere with fat absorption. I'll go into that later. So really successful, that's successful or something, whatever, same term. Successful weight loss drugs result in a 5 to 10% loss in body weight. I don't know how to, if anyone knows how to get rid of that little box. I hit this X thing, it just exited out. Okay, more drugs. So these weight loss drugs are typically prescribed to patients with a BMI of at least 27. So if you're bored and you want to go on orlistat, you're fine. They won't put you on it. Don't do it. No one wants that. There's also Rizima. I don't know how to say it. You don't need to know how to say it. It's an oral medication. It's considered the most effective. And like I said, the most effective really has a 5 to 10% weight loss among patients. That's not that much, but that's the most successful weight loss drugs. I think this is from an article also, a reading, I believe. There's another drug out there, Saxenda, which is technically a diabetes medication, but you can combine it with other meds to increase weight loss benefits. And the thing about this is it's unique because it does not affect brain chemistry as much as other drugs.
Do we need to know the other two drugs, Belvic and Contrary?
No.
No.
I thought Saxenda just didn't have anything to do with CNS. It does, but not so much.
What?
I thought Saxenda didn't have anything to do with CNS.
I mean, technically, it's not acting on your CNS as much, but you know, byproducts, it interacts with other things in the body that do affect your nervous system. Just know that it does not affect brain chemistry as much as the other drugs. Some recent anti-obesity drugs. Phentermine, you know this already, is a pathomimetic. Increases norepinephrine levels to decrease appetite. Target, brain. Orlistat binds to lipids to prevent uptake and absorption. Target GI tracts. We have a very negative side effect. Let's just think about this for a second. If you can't put the fat in your body, it's got to come out of your body, right? So that's a really unpleasant side effect with that one. Sibutramine prevents reuptake of norepinephrine. Target brain. Rimonabant reduces GABA concentration. That's all you need to know is target brain. This is just a verbal description of the mechanisms. I think it's a picture on Dr. Z's slide, so if you can't read it, it's not a very clear picture. Here it is. The most important ones would probably be phentermine and orlistat. All right, procedures. So we have two main procedures: Roux-en-Y/gastric bypass and lap band. So Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. I mean, even if just looking at the term gastric bypass, so you're gonna bypass the gastric part of your GI, and that's your stomach. You're gonna go right past that. I copy and pasted these directly from the slide and bolded some things that were important. So advantages, it's fast because you really aren't using your stomach anymore, so you can't put much food in yourself. You can do laparoscopically. Disadvantages, I mean, this is really intense on your body. You're cutting, stapling, rerouting, whole 9 yards. So what you're doing is you're bypassing a portion of your digestive tract, resulting in nutritional deficiencies, right? So you're losing some absorption. You're losing a part of your intestines. You can't absorb your nutrients as well. So maybe while you're eating less, you just still won't be healthy, right? Or you can't get a lot of your vitamins and so on and so forth. Dumping syndrome. You can guess what that means. You can't really adjust this. Once it's done, it's done. Okay, questions on Roux-en-Y gastric bypass? I think this is what Al Roker got. Pretty sure. Lap band, or was I don't know. You know, lap bands. So there's some advantages, excuse me. As listed on the slides, I don't think I added anything. Lowest mortality and complication rate, I mean, that makes sense. You're not really rerouting anything, you're just kind of making something smaller, you're not cutting anything out. Yeah, so you basically put a loop around the stomach and you tighten it so that you restrict the amount of food getting in there. It's pretty simple, and the cool thing about this is you can adjust it. So you can start off at one way and then, you know, gradually move towards your goal. Disadvantages is slower, right? You're not eliminating the stomach and part of the intestine. It's a lot slower. You need a doctor follow-up. It's critical for optimal results because you need to adjust how tight this lap band is. Right? And of course, if you put something foreign in your body, there's a chance your body will not like it, right? It's an implanted medical device. It's foreign, you could get infections, you could get an immune response. I mean, you will get an immune response, but infections can happen at any time. You have a port, so you know that's another site infection. So there's danger with this one as well. Questions? Anything I talked about? If I didn't really talk about it, you don't even know it. Then you don't leave yet. Don't leave yet.